Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on orders over $10. From August 18th, 2020 through September 25th, 2020, if you use this promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing to win a Zendikar Rising set booster box. Also, there is another way to enter where no purchase is necessary. See the link in the description below for full details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. We have a lot of cards to talk about yet again this week. Reserve list buyouts have continued, but we also saw a lot of preview cards this week, mostly from Zendikar Rising, but there were a few surprises here or there. We found out there was going to be a Time Spiral remastered set. They even showed a few cards from that. So obviously, when you do have card previews, there are going to be some big impacts to the secondary market when it comes to card pricing. Quickly before we get into all of that though, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. They actually just restocked Double Masters products, so if you're still looking to pick up VIP packs, either a single pack or 4-pack, or a Double Masters booster box, you can do that there. As a matter of fact, if you use the Heroes promo code, the Double Masters booster box comes to $297, and that does include shipping in the United States. You can also pre-order Zendikar Rising products there as well. And whenever you use the promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated, so thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to begin, as we always do, with Standard. This format is still in a really weird place, of course, because most people can't sit down to play, and rotation is right around the corner. But today, we're going to look at the top 13 Standard legal cards that have lost value this week to kick things off. Lucky number 13 is Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, down 38 cents to $5. Now, this card is rotating out. It doesn't really see a whole lot of Standard play, though. It does see some Pioneer play and Lotus combo. It does get a lot of Commander play, and it has seen more play recently in Bruvac the Grandiloquent builds. Number 12 is Scavenging Ooze. This is the one from Modern Masters 2017. It goes down 43 cents to $3.23. So this card sees a lot of play. In Standard, it's in Mono Green Stompy, Grill Aggro, and more. It also sees play in Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and Commander. But the reason these cards are so soft right now is because this was reprinted in Core Set 2021, and there's another reprint coming in a secret layer called Slime Time. Number 11 is Absorb. It's the copy from Invasion, going down 43 cents to $6.68, another card that is going to be rotating out soon. It hasn't seen as much play as it was seeing a few months ago. It still shows up in Azorius Control. Also in Pioneer, you could find this in Azorius Control. It sees some Commander play too, but I do expect this one to stay soft, especially through the rotation period. Number 10 is Chromatic Lantern, the one from Commander 2016. It goes down 45 cents to $9.48. This is a huge Commander card, but it was reprinted not only in Guilds of Ravnica, but also recently in Mystery Boosters. This is rotating out, but really hasn't seen a whole lot of Standard play recently. In Modern, though, sometimes you'll find this in Ad Nauseam occasionally in the sideboard. Number 9 is Ironscale Hydra. Now, this does see play in some of those Hydra Commander decks. However, the reason it has the price point of $3.50 now is because it is one of those 10 cards that you can find in theme boosters, but not in draft boosters, so it is a little harder to get a hold of. This week, though, it does go down 46 cents to $3.50. Number 8 is Steam Vents from Guild Pact, and there's one copy of the Guilds of Ravnica version of this in the Allied Fires 2020 Challenger deck. Ever since that happened, this card has been relatively soft. Sees a ton of play, obviously. It is a shock land, and in Standard, you'll find this in Temur Adventures, Temur Elementals, Temur Flash, Is It Tempo, and more. And of course, even though this is going to rotate out with all of the shock lands this fall, they will all continue to see play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. Number 7 is Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. This is the one from Core Set 2021. It goes down 56 cents to $25.99, and this card has been trying to find its price point since it was reprinted in this Core Set. Sees a ton of play though in Standard, Sultai Control, Temur Adventure, Sultai Ramp, Temur Elementals, and more. Pioneer, you'll find this in Lotus Combo and more there. Modern, it's in Tron builds, even sees a little Legacy play, and it's a highly played Commander card. Number 6 is Heroic Intervention, the one from Aether Revolt, but this was also reprinted in Core Set 2021, which is why it is soft. It goes down 57 cents to $7.96, and it is seeing play in Standard, Mono Green Stompy, Grill Aggro, and more, plus it is another highly played Commander card. Number 5 is Sacred Foundry, another shockland. This is the one from Ravnica City of Guilds. It goes down 57 cents to $15.86. You'll find this one in Mardu Winota, Mardu Knights, and more. And like we said with Steam Vents, when this does rotate out, still going to see plenty of play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. Number 4 is Massacre Worm from Mirrodin Besieged, another card that you will find in Core Set 2021, but this is the copy from Mirrodin Besieged. It goes down 58 cents to $10.47. And this does see Commander play in Jacques the Desecrated decks and much more. Hydroid Crisis is number 3, a card that is rotating out of Standard, but had a pretty successful number of seasons there. It does go down 59 cents this week to $15.99. Still seeing play in the format though, Sultai Control, Sultai Ramp, Temur Flash, Temur Elementals, and more. And it does see Pioneer, Modern, and Commander play too. Number 2 is Grim Tutor from Core Set 2021. It goes down 68 cents to $14.22. And this is another card that was reprinted in the most recent core set, still trying to find its price point. Hasn't seen a ton of standard play or anything like that, but it does see a fair amount of play in Commander, as all tutors do. In fact, this one has seen some additional play recently in builds like Vito Thorn of the Duskgrows and Tiny Bones Trinket Thief. And number 1 is Teferi, Master of Time. This had a very high price point during the pre-release season, still trying to find its actual price point based off gameplay. It goes down $2.12 this week to $20.20. Now, this is seeing standard play in control builds, Sultai Ramp, Temur, Midrange, and more. It is also seeing Commander play in builds like Atraxa, Praetor's Voice. Of course, that was just reprinted in Double Masters. Alright, that brings us to the top 6 standard legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 6 is Omnith Locus of the Royal at 51 cents to $4.99. This is rotating out soon. It does currently see play in Temur Elementals, but it sees Modern play in 5-color Elementals, and it's a very popular Commander as well. Plus, it shows up in the 99 of a number of different decks there. But the main reason this is going up this much right now is, of course, those Zendikar Rising Previews. We got a new Omnith, there is some support for Elementals in there, and there's a ton of landfall cards and cards that support landfall that were previewed this week. I do think this might be the rare case of a card going up in value as it rotates out of Standard. Number 5 is Elder Gargaroth, up 63 cents to $10.54. You'll find this one in Mono Green Stompy, sometimes Sultai Ramp, and more in Standard. Also, this is seeing a good amount of play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. Number 4 is Karn the Great Creator, going up 64 cents to $9. Another card rotating out that is actually going up in value right now, but also another card that hasn't actually seen all that much standard play. However, it does see play in Pioneer and Mono Green Planeswalkers. Modern, you'll find this in Tron builds and more. It also sees play in Commander Legacy and Vintage, even though it is restricted there. Number 3, Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. This card has been losing a little value over the last few weeks. It does bounce back this week, up $1.07 to $47.48. Seeing a ton of play in Standard, Sultai Control, Sultai Ramp, Temur Elementals, Temur Flash, and more. Also shows up in decks in Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and Commander. Number 2 is Outlaw's Merriment. This goes up $1.29 to $2.55. Currently, it does see some Commander play, but that's not why it's going up this much right now. This is moving because of Zendikar Rising Previews. First off, there is a party mechanic. Some cards are going to care if you have a Cleric, Warrior, Rogue, and Wizard in play. Secondly, Orzhov cares about Clerics. There's actually a Cleric tribal theme there. One example of that is this card right here, or a Skyclave Hierophant. Put it all together, and I do think Outlaw's Merriment could continue to go up in value in the coming weeks and months. And number 1 is a card we previously talked about, but it is the original copy of Grim Tutor from Starter 1999. This is bouncing back after losing some value when the reprint occurred. This week it goes up $3.42 to $178.42. Alright, that brings us to Pioneer. In your top 9 Pioneer legal cards that have lost value this week. Number 9 is a card that's seeing a little less play now than it was seeing maybe a few months ago. It's Darksteel Forge from Magic 2014. It goes down 94 cents to $16.12. Now this does see a fair amount of play in Commander, and many times you will find this in Breya, Ethereum Shaper builds, and much more. And of course, Breya was just reprinted in Double Masters. Number 8 is Archangel Thune from Magic 2014. It goes down 94 cents to $19.28. This is found in Angel and Life Gain builds in Commander. Many times it's in the Kali of the Vast builds, a card that was reprinted in Double Masters. But of course, Archangel Thune was also reprinted in Double Masters, which is why it is soft right now. Number 7 is Traumatized from 9th edition. The spike last week, you're just seeing some normalization. This week, it goes down 97 cents to $3.53. And this has seen some increased play recently in Commander in those Brewvac the Grandiloquent decks. Number 6 is Mox Amber. This hasn't seen a lot of play in Pioneer or Modern recently. It goes down 99 cents to $22. It does see Commander play, however, and it does show up in a number of builds there, including Joyro Weatherlight Captain, another card that was recently reprinted in Double Masters. Number 5, another card stabilizing back down after recent spikes. It is Door of Destinies from Morningtide. It goes down $1.06 to $14.46. But this is a fantastic tribal card for any number of tribal Commander builds you want to create. Number 4, Aurelia the War Leader. This is the one from the Guilds of Ravnica Boros Guild Kit. Only can be found in foil. It goes down $1.30 to $21.50. And this card has been spiking pretty wildly recently, so not too surprised again to see the retraction here. Many times you'll find this in the Kali of the Vast builds in Commander. Also, it has seen some increased play in Commander and Winona Joiner of Forces decks too. Number 3, huge Commander card here. You're very familiar with it, I'm sure. Cyclonic Rift. It also does see a little Modern play, but it did get a reprinting in Double Masters, and all the copies of the card have been soft since then. The Double Masters copy this week goes down $1.05 to $21.89, with the Return to Ravnica copy going down $1.38 to $25.19. Number 2 is Thoughtseize. This is the one from Lorwyn, the original. It goes down $1.47 to $33.02. Now, this one does see play in Pioneer, actually in a number of different decks. Also sees play in Modern, Legacy, and even shows up in Commander. And number 1 is yet another card reprinted in Double Masters. It is the Scarab God, the original copy though from Hour of Devastation. It goes down $1.49 to 2014. You will find this one in Niptolite sideboards and Pioneer, but of course it does see a lot of Commander play. It's a very popular Commander, but also can show up in the 99 of a number of different builds. And that brings us to the top 5 Pioneer legal cards that have gained value this week. And if you haven't guessed yet, the key driver for cards going up in value continues to be Commander this week. And I think that trend will continue in the absence of Magic Fest events. Number 5 is Emrakul, the Promised End. It goes up $1.24 to $38.87. Now this does see play in Saltai Delirium and Pioneer. Many times you can find it in Mono Green Planeswalker decks too. In Modern, it's in Tron builds, and in Commander, it's in Kozilek the Great Distortion decks and more there. Number 4 is another Omnith with Omnith Locus of Rage. It goes up $1.45 to $12.47. And we already talked about why this is moving, obviously, with the previews of landfall cards and cards that support landfall, as well as some new elementals. This is currently seeing a lot of Commander play, though, regardless of all that, in lands builds and much more. Number 3 is Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. It goes up $1.68 to $52.99. You'll find this one in Mono Green Planeswalkers and more in Pioneer. In Modern, this is also found in Tron builds. Legacy, this is in Mono Green Cloudpost. And yet again, another card you will find in various Commander builds, including Kozilek the Great Distortion. Number 2 is Lord of the Void, going up $1.79 to $10.14, and this is another card you might find in Kali of the Vast Commander decks. And number 1 is Crucible of Worlds. 5th Dawn goes up $1.92 to $31.25, 10th edition up $2.40 to $34.93, and Magic 2019 goes up $2.98 to $32.86 this week. Now this hasn't seen as much play as it was seeing maybe a few months ago. Still shows up in various decks though, in Pioneer, Legacy, and Vintage, and it is a highly played Commander card, especially in lands builds. However, as you could guess, the reason it's moving this much right now is because of those Zendikar Rising landfall previews. Alright, time for the top 5 modern legal cards that have lost value this week. Coming in at number 5 is Crater Hoof Behemoth. This is the one from Jumpstart trying to find its price point. It goes down $3.70 this week to $39.75. This is in Legacy Elves decks. Also in Commander, it's in a lot of different builds, including Kinnenbonder Prodigy and Reese the Redeemed, which got reprinted not only in Mystery Boosters, but also Double Masters. Number 4 is Cavern of Souls from Avacyn Restored. It goes down $4.45 to $73.02, and we were wondering why this was not in Double Masters. It feels like everything else was. However, we now know why. This is going to be one of the Zendikar Rising box topper expeditions, so more copies will be coming out to the marketplace. All the copies of this card are going down this week, but this one's losing the most value and made our list today. It does see a ton of play in a lot of different places. In Modern, it's in Eldrazi Tron, Amulet Titan, Goblins, Humans, Merfolk, and more. Legacy, it's in Goblins, Eldrazi Stompy, and more there. This shows up in Vintage and Commander decks too. As a matter of fact, this is another card you might find in Kali of the Vast builds, and of course many other places in Commander. Number 3 is Gemstone Caverns, down $4.54 to $50.74. Maybe not too surprising to see this retraction because this card has been spiking pretty heavily recently. Now, it does see play in Modern, Mono Blue Tron, also does get a fair amount of Commander play. But another reason it could be going down is simply because we did get that announcement for Time Spiral Remastered a few days ago, and there's a chance this card could be reprinted there. Number 2, Vorinclex Voice of Hunger. This is the one from New Phyrexia, down $5.10 to $29.25. Another card that has been spiking pretty aggressively recently, so it probably was due for some normalization. Now this does see play in a lot of Commander builds, including the recently reprinted Azusa Lost But Seeking, as well as Atraxa Praetor's Voice. And number 1, another card reprinted in Double Masters. It is Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is the copy from Eternal Masters, going down $5.26 this week to $76.73. And you'll find this one in Azorius Control, sometimes Uro Piles, and more in Modern. Also sees Legacy, Vintage, and Commander play. And that brings us to the top 5 modern legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 5 is Seasoned Pyromancer. It goes up 380 to 2790. In Modern, this is in some big decks right now. Gruul and Rakdos midrange, Jund, Mono Red aggro, and more. But this also does see a fair amount of commander play and has seen increased play recently in builds like Winona Joiner of Forces, Zera's The Writhing Storm, and Sabira Telzidi Caravaner. Number 4 is Nature's Will, up 434 to 2450. Many times you'll find this in Najeela the Blade Blossom commander decks. And remember, with that extra support coming for Warriors and Zendikar Rising, more players might want to build those decks soon. Number 3, Kozilek Butcher of Truth, the one from Rise of the Eldrazi. It goes up 445 to 57.99. This is in a lot of commander builds right now, including Kozilek the Great Distortion. Number 2 is Sliver Legion from Future Sight. Those Sliver commander decks have been hot ever since they reprinted Sliver Hive Lord and Sliver Overlord. This week, Sliver Legion goes up $7 to 107.56. Could it show up in Time Spiral Remastered? And number 1 is a card that is moving up because it is fantastic with landfall. It is Oboro, Palace in the Clouds, going up 37.15 to 59.95 this week. This also does see a little modern play and shows up in a number of commander builds currently, like Techova Benthic Druid, for example. That brings us to the Vintage Spotlight, and like I said at the top of the video, some of these buyouts continue. They don't seem as prevalent as maybe a week or two ago, but they are still happening. The bigger phenomenon you're seeing now, though, and you're going to see that in this section as well as the next one, the fear of missing out is really kicking in for a lot of players who are seeing these buyouts happen, and they are going back and they're trying to pick up some of the cheaper reserve list cards or maybe cards that they were thinking of picking up for a while and kept putting off, and that's causing certain cards to dry up in the marketplace. So let's see what's going on this week in Vintage. As always, I will just tell you if the card is not on the reserve list in this section because it's easier that way, and this one's not on the reserve list. It is Elvish Spirit Guide. It goes up 431 to 1092, and this does see play in Legacy Dark Depths as well as Charbelcher builds, and gets commander play as well. Shallow Grave. This goes up 446 to 1821. This is in a Legacy Dark Depths / Reanimation deck. Also, again, does see some commander play. Peacekeeper up 589 this week to 29.98. This card's been hot for a little while now. You will find this in Esper Vial and Snow Miracles in Legacy, and it sees commander play too. City of Traders, another card that sees a lot of Legacy play. This one goes up 850 to 207.99 this week. You'll find this one in Mono Red Prison, Sneak and Show, Omnitel, and more. Fast Bond from Revised. It goes up 1061 to 26.99. Now, this is banned in Commander. It was seeing some Vintage play for a while, but I'm not seeing it show up all that much anymore. Regardless, though, this card is still hot right now. Here's where we start to move into buyout territory a little deeper. It is Mold Demon, maybe one of the worst creatures ever printed, but it's going up $11.04 to $30.96. Academy Rector goes up $11.29 to $89.99. Now, this is another card that actually does see play. You're going to find this one in Legacy Alurin and Rector Fit decks. Sees commander play as well in those enchantment heavy builds. Strip Mine is next. Now, it's the copy that you see on the screen here. It's the Antiquities copy that kind of has that uneven horizon line. It goes up $11.92 this week to $79.97. This, of course, is not on the reserve list. As a matter of fact, this is one of the Zendikar Rising box topper expeditions. Livonia Salone goes up $13.03 to $33.48 this week. Gold Legends have been pretty hot recently, and this one was still relatively affordable, especially considering the fact that it's reserve list. But it's also a human warrior if you read the Oracle text. I don't really think that's why it's moving. I think it's really because of the rarity more than anything. Intuition. This got reprinted one more time as a Judge Foil before they closed that loophole, and we're going to see that card a little bit later. This version, though, from Tempest is going up $14.02 this week to $170, or is it? There's actually some market manipulation attached to this one. So if you look at sold and completed listings on eBay, high-grade copies of this are selling between $95 to $110 currently. That's the actual fair price point. Now, this card does see play in Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. Lion's Eye Diamond, this goes up $16.08 to $371.17, another card that will show up in Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. Combos with Underworld Breach, Wheel of Fortune, and Thassa's Oracle. Mana Vault, this sees play in Vintage and Commander, and it is not on the reserve list. The revised copy is going up $278 to $55.57 this week, and the Ultimate Masters copy jumping $16.50 to $81.49. Knowledge Vault goes up $17.17 to $34.96. If Biff If Freak goes up $18.84 to $145.79. Nicol Bolas, not on the reserve list, but that original Legends copy is going up $20 to $150. Another card not on the reserve list, Dancing Scimitar from Arabian Nights, goes up $20.11 to $55.45. As you can see, some of these buyouts that are occurring are not just reserve list cards. Sometimes they're just vintage Magic cards that are hard to find in good condition. Disharmony goes up $20.81 to $43.95. Island of Wak Wak up $23.38 to $190. Lifeblood goes up $25.61 to $38.98. Howling Mine, not on the reserve list. The unlimited copy is going up $28.99 to $143.87. Ollie from Cairo up $33.63 to $302. Volcanic Island from Revised goes up $33.76 to $575. Scheherazade, this one is banned in Commander as well as pretty much everywhere else. It goes up $35.05 to $350. These revised dual lands are still hot. Underground Sea goes up $57.42 to $624.48. Here's Taiga Unlimited goes up $58.60 to $450. Revised up $68.60 to $300. Tundra from Revised up $89.74 to $442.05. Here's another card that has some market manipulation attached to it. Pyramids technically is going up $96.95 to $895.95, but if you look at sold and completed listings on eBay, high-grade copies are going for $150 to $200 currently. The reason I like to point these out is because a lot of people don't realize when you look at some of those big sites that give you the prices, if they have a card that doesn't see a lot of sales, like this one here, they have to fall back on what people are asking, and people can ask anything for a card. Sometimes they'll ask a little more than normal because they're fishing for an offer. Other times they put a very exaggerated price into the system. One more example of that with Hazazon Tamar. It goes up $1,113.49 to $1,291.30. However, this card was climbing before that market manipulation occurred, so I was curious to see what they were selling for. Turns out high-grade copies are going for about $170 to $200 currently. And the last card in this section is Moxjet from Unlimited. Now, this is an example of somebody maybe adding some copies to the marketplace, and they're just asking for a slightly higher price, because remember, percentage-wise, this isn't really that much of an increase. This goes up $440 to $2,859.99. Probably in this case is just somebody fishing for an offer. That brings us to the Commander Spotlight, and again this week you're going to see a lot of the cheaper reserve list cards that see at least a little bit to moderate Commander play going up in value. And like I said earlier, I do think that's based off the fear of missing out for some players. So let's see what's happening. We have Diabolic Intent from Battle Bond up $1 to $20.58. This is a highly played Commander card, especially good in builds like Corvold Faker's King, for example. Mycosynth Golem, many times you'll find this in Bosch, Iron Golem decks, and more in the format. It goes up $1.01 to $18.35. Fervor from 6th edition. This is in a number of different builds, including Krenko Mob Boss and Kali of the Vast, both of which were reprinted recently. This goes up $1.04 to $3.73. Sabo's Web up $1.04 to $3.87. This is a decent Commander card. Sometimes it shows up in Joyro, whether like Captain builds. Bloom Tender from Mystery Boosters goes up $1.04 to $26.99. Huge Commander card. You'll find this in Kinnan Bonder Prodigy and much more. Goblin Sharpshooter from Commander 2013 up $1.08 to $11.23. This is seeing increased play in a number of different builds like Kelsey and the Plague, Zerzoth Chaos Rider, Muxus Goblin Grandy. Again, another card you'll find in Krenko Mob Boss as well, and much more. Sometimes this is in Legacy Goblins too. Crom Ludwig's Opus is next, up $1.09 to $9.49. So these partner commanders that you can find in Commander 2016 products, they're only in foil, and many of them are extremely hot right now. Part of the reason is because they are very good commanders, but the other part of the reason is we are getting more partner commanders in Commander Legends. These 4 on the screen have already been previewed, and that is causing a lot of interest in those older partner commanders. Boozium Strip. Now, this is an example of what I was talking about a few moments ago. This is a reserve list card. It sees a little commander play here or there, but a lot of players are jumping onto cards like this currently before they go up higher. This goes up this week $1.11 to $4.45. Steel Shaper's Gift up $1.12 to $12.42. This currently sees play in Sir Gwyn Hero of Ashvale builds, and more in Commander. Also sees a little modern play, but I do think this could be getting a bump also from one of the Zendikar Rising Preview cards, actually one that we saw the week before, and that's Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients. Rakdos Lord of Riots. Now this can only be found in foil. It is the copy from the Ravnica Allegiance Rakdos Guild kit. It is a fairly popular commander. Also many times you'll find this in Kali of the Vast builds too. It goes up $1.13 this week to $3.85. Homeward Path from Commander 2016. This is a good commander utility card. It goes up $1.14 to $14.29. Soulscar Mage goes up $1.16 to $6.24. Now this is a wizard, so maybe some people are paying attention to that. It also does see a little commander play, But I think the main reason it's going up in value this much right now is because of the play it sees in Pioneer as well as Modern. In Pioneer, this is in Mono Red Aggro, Burn, and more. In Modern, it's in Blitz, Luris Aggro, and more there. Also sees a little Legacy play too. Twilight Prophet. Now, this one is a cleric. It goes up $1.17 to $18.87. I think that's the main reason it's moving like this week. It is also a vampire too, and of course, that does matter currently in Commander. Many times you'll find this in Edgar Markov or Vito Thorn of the Duskgrows builds. And also too, we are getting some new vampires from Zendikar Rising, which of course you could expect. We do see a lot of vampires in Zendikar typically, and that could be pushing some of the cards in those builds too. Godsire, this is in a number of different builds, including Mael the Anima. This goes up $1.20 to $14.94 this week. Kindred Discovery, it feels like whenever you get card previews, people start thinking about what they can do from a tribal point of view in Commander, and some of the cards that support tribal start to creep up. This is already currently fantastic in a lot of different tribal decks, and it goes up $1.21 to $29.38. Predatory Night Stalker, not necessarily a card that sees a ton of play. There is not any reprintings of this, so the only place to get it is from Portal Second Age, and it is getting harder to find in good condition. It goes up $1.22 to $8.97. Vile Smasher the Fierce, another one of the foil-only partner commanders. It goes up $1.22 to $28.43. Thought Lash, this has seen more play in Commander ever since Thassa's Oracle came out. Many times you'll find this in Zedruu the Great-Hearted builds too. It goes up $1.24 to $14.30. Vidalcan Orrery from Conspiracy this time goes up $1.25 to $35.08, a very popular Commander card in many different decks. Breathstealer's Crypt, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $1.29 to $11.99, and it does see some Commander play. Contamination on the reserve list goes up $1.32 to $30.83. Sometimes you'll find this in Marin of Clan Nil Toth builds and others as well in the format. Liliana of the Veil from Ultimate Masters up $1.32 to $66.72. A lot of people will look at this card and just think Modern, right? It's in Jund, The Rock, and more there. But it has been seeing more and more Commander play recently. You'll find this in Atraxa builds as well as Tiny Bones Trinket Thief decks and others as well. Force of Negation, another card that's great in a lot of Modern decks, also good in Legacy and Vintage. But with competitive Commander becoming more popular, this card is seeing more play in a lot of different builds there. It goes up $1.33 to $49.68. Ishai Ojitai Dragonspeaker, only found a foil. This is the one from Commander 2016. It goes up $1.35 to $4.47. Another one of these partner commanders sees a fair amount of play as a commander, but it also sees play in builds like Atraxa as well as Ineaz the Galforce. Gauntlet of Power from Time Spiral. Maybe it shows up in Time Spiral Remastered. I guess we'll find out soon enough. It goes up $1.36 to $22.99, and this does see play in a number of different commander decks. Balefire Dragon, Ultimate Masters goes up $1.26 to $20.77. Innistrad goes up $1.37 to $20.17. This is found in a number of decks, including 3 where the commander was reprinted recently, Kali of the Vast, the Ur Dragon, and Xenagos God of Rebels. Demonic Tutor, the one from Dual Decks Divine vs. Demonic, goes up $1.38 to $37.86 this week. Sees vintage play, lots of commander play as well. Firestorm on the reserve list. This goes up $1.40 to $27.21. Now, this does see legacy play and dredge sometimes, but it has seen increased commander play recently in Rael the Everwise builds. Natural Order from Eternal Masters, up $1.41 to $27.95. This is in builds like Selvala Heart of the Wilds, for example. Also sees play in Legacy Elves and more. Scrying Sheets, this does see a little commander play, but for the most part, this is moving, of course, because of Zendikar Rising Previews revolving around landfall. It goes up $1.45 to $14.93. Additionally, we found out that the Winter Standard set is Keldheim, and it is going to be based around Norse mythology. Some players are speculating snow mechanics could come back there. Multani Maro Sorcerer goes up $1.47 to $4.73. This is on the reserve list, and it does see a little commander play, but it is also an elemental. Yavimaya Hollow on the reserve list. He's playing a number of different commander decks, though. It goes up $1.50 to $78.99. Cloudstone Curio, solid commander card in a lot of different decks. Many times you'll see this played with Dockside Extortionist. It goes up $1.51 to $33.86. Grave Pact, this is another card you'll find in multiple places in Commander, including Teysa Karlov builds. And also this did get better with the Commander Death Trigger rule change. 10th edition goes up $1.51 to $21.50. Commander goes up $1.52 to $20.37. Pact of Negation for Modern Masters goes up $1.54 to $31.65. And much like Force of Negation, when you look at this card, you might think Modern. And sure, it sees play in a lot of big decks there, like Amulet Titan, Ad Nauseam, and more. But it's also seeing more and more Commander play all the time. Now, what's odd about this card jumping this much right now, though, is we recently found out that this was going to be on that list of cards that could show up in the Zendikar Rising set boosters. So more copies of this are going to be entering the marketplace soon. Linvala, Keeper of Silence for Modern Masters 2017 goes up $1.57 to $23.94. Many times you'll find this in Kali of the Vast builds and a lot of other places in Commander. And Zendikar Rising Previews have brought us some new Angels, which could push some of the decks that this is in Commander. An example is another Linvala. This is Linvala Shield of Seagate. Glimpse the Unthinkable. This is the copy from the Guilds of Ravnica Dimir Guild Kit. It goes up $1.58 to $10 this week. Sees Commander play in Phoenix God of Deception builds, and of course that was reprinted in foil not too long ago in one of the Theros Stargazing Secret Layers. Shows up in other builds in the format too. In Modern, you'll find this in Mill and Crabvine. Jet Medallion from Commander 2014, it goes up $1.60 to $28.50. This whole cycle, like I say all the time, is great for Commander builds in general. This one in particular has seen increased play recently in Tiny Bones decks. Great Wow. This is on the reserve list. It goes up $1.61 to $12.20. Occasionally you'll find this one in Riku Up to Reflections builds, another card reprinted in Double Masters. It does combo with that card, but I do think this is more of a case of another reserve list card drying up. Extra Planar Lens for Mirrodin up $1.61 to $41, and this is good in monocolor Commander decks of all kinds. It's also very good with Snow Basics, and like I said earlier, there are players speccing on that mechanic coming back in Keldheim. Felwar Stone, highly played mana rock in the format. Commander goes up $1.61 to $8.79. Commander 2015 up $1.64 to $7.95. Damnation from Planar Chaos, fantastic board sweep in black for Commander. Could be reprinted in Time Spiral Remastered though. It goes up $1.64 to $44.99. Sarah's Sanctum on the reserve list. This is good in enchantment heavy builds. It goes up $1.71 to $190. Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre from Modern Masters 2015 up $1.72 to $46.08. Another card you'll find in those Kozilek the Great Distortion builds and more in Commander. Akiri Lineslinger, another partner Commander only found in foil. It goes up $1.79 to $9.45. But note that this one is an ally, and that actually does matter because of a Zendikar Rising preview. And that card is Tazri, Beacon of Unity. Notice that this card helps you build your party of Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, and Wizard, but it also throws ally in there too. Morphic Pool. Now this is getting reprinted as a Zendikar Rising Expedition box topper, but it's still going up this week, $1.82 to $22.74. These lands are fantastic, obviously, for Commander builds. Retribution of the Meek. This is on the reserve list. It does see some play in builds like Doran the Siege Tower and Arcades the Strategist. It goes up $1.90 to $14.15. Carnival of Souls on the reserve list, up $1.95 to $10.23. And this does see some Commander play in various builds, but again, another card on the reserve list drying up. Another reserve list card that sees a little play, it's Urte Wizard Adept, but it's also a wizard, so that's worth noting. It goes up $1.95 to $13.84. The original Blood Moon, now this was reprinted in Double Masters, but this copy from the Dark is going up $1.95 to $56.99 this week. And this does see a lot of Commander play, including in a couple builds that had the Commander reprinted not too long ago, Krenko Mob Boss and Godo Bandit Warlord. But beyond that, you know this card does a lot of work in Modern. This is in Gruul Midrange, Blitz, Mono Red Aggro, Goblins, and more there. Legacy, you'll find it in Izzet Delver, Mono Red Prison, and more in that format. Phyrexian Tower from Urza's Saga, highly played Commander card in a lot of different places, sees a little Legacy play too. It was reprinted in Jumpstart recently, but this copy's still going up, $209 to $39.89. Heatstroke on the reserve list, decent in Pillow Fort builds. It goes up $217 to $487. Reflecting Pull from Tempest, highly played mana-based card in Commander, up $218 to $31. Grand Arbiter Augustin IV from Dissension goes up $229 to $22. This is a very popular Commander, and sometimes you'll find this in decks with Bruvek the Grandiloquent and Persistent Petitioners. Notice this is an advisor. Braingeyser from Revised on the reserve list. This has seen increased play recently in Zexara the Exemplary builds. It goes up $236 to $13.79. Boyle from Tempest. This does see some Commander play. It goes up $240 to $495. Although I think the main reason it is going up is Modern. This shows up in a lot of sideboards there. Bribery from 8th edition up $242 to $26.06. This sees play in Centriplet builds and much more. And remember, Centriplets was reprinted in foil and WPN mystery boosters. Didgeridoo, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $246 to $12.50, and this does see play in Sethron Herloon general builds right now. Also, Zendikar Rising is bringing us a new legendary Minotaur that is Morag, Fury of Akum. Pelicron on the reserve list, also good in Rico of 2 Reflections builds, since again it combos with that card. It goes up $250 to $44. Earthcraft on the reserve list goes up $250 to $102.49. Solid card in a number of different builds, including Reese the Redeemed. Sliver Queen, here's the Sliver Lord that is on the reserve list. It goes up $251 to $217.50. Gisela Blade of Gold Knight, another angel here, also found in Kali of the Vast builds. Commander Anthology Volume 2 goes up $1.24 to $16.79. That copy's only in foil. Avacyn Restored up $275 to $16.92. City of Brass are in the Modern event deck. This is a huge Commander mana-based card. In Modern, you'll find this in Ad Nauseam, also in Dredge. This does appear in Legacy Dredge too. It goes up $276 to $19.87. Piracy from Portal Second Age sees a little Commander play, but I think again this is just drying up in the marketplace more than anything. It goes up $279 to $28.99. Thrashio's Triton Hero, another foil-only partner Commander. It goes up $281 to $57.74, but it's also a wizard, so that's worth noting. Phyrexian Dreadnought from Mirage, this is on the reserve list, but it did get a printing as a Judge foil before they closed the loophole. It goes up $295 to $59.99. And this does see some Commander play in builds like Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, for example. That was a card that was reprinted in Mystery Boosters not too long ago. Sword of Truth and Justice up $297 to $21.80, and this sees play in a lot of different builds in Commander right now. Skithiryx the Blight Dragon, Atraxa Praetor's Voice, both of those, of course, reprinted in Double Masters. But also, too, I think this could be getting pushed by some Zendikar Rising previews. There are cards that care about +1/+1 counters there. An example of what that looks like are these two cards here. We have Phaleth World Sculptor and Iridescent Hornbeetle. Underground River, these ally Painlands have been hot. Only see play in Commander, basically. Deckmasters, Garfield vs. Finkel goes up $1.32 to $7.30. The 6th edition copy up $303 to $10.10 this week. Kuskan Falls, another reserve list card that sees a little Commander play. It goes up $333 to $14. Mana Drain from Iconic Masters, very popular Commander card. This is great in competitive builds. It goes up $339 to $159.99. Thawing Glaciers on the reserve list, but it did get a Judge foil copy as well. It goes up $344 to $22.50. Currently sees Commander play, but again, I think this is moving up because of the landfall preview cards we saw this week from Zendikar Rising. Argothian Enchantress from Urza's Saga. It goes up $351 to $28.50. Good in the enchantment heavy builds, including those Sisay Weatherlight Captain decks that are running the new Core Set 2021 Shrines. Preacher on the reserve list, and this is actually a cleric, so that's worth noting. Currently sees a little Commander play. It goes up $352 to $27.91. Zerillin of the Claw, this is on the reserve list, but actually does see play as a Commander and can show up in Dragon builds too sometimes. It goes up $358 to $10.27. Thrumming Stone up $369 to $48.88. Now, this is in Marrow-Gnawer builds in Commander. Also, recently, it's been seeing more play in Bruvak the Grandiloquent decks. But again, I think previews are pushing this one the most this week. Relentless Rats is going to be one of the new time-shifted cards in Time Spiral Remastered, so that could have pushed some attention onto this card. Also, too, there's been an unconfirmed leak that Shadowborn Apostle is going to be reprinted in Zendikar Rising. Maybe by the time you see this video, we'll know for sure, but at least right now, people are speculating on that. Necropotence Iconic Masters goes up $1.03 to $29.62. Deckmasters Garfield vs. Finkel, that copy's only in foil. It goes up $372 to $52.37. Great card in Vintage for Doomsday decks and more, and also sees a lot of Commander play. Herald of Sarah, another angel here on the reserve list. It goes up $379 to $502. Ritual of the Machine, reserve list card, but this one is actually pretty good. Some of these black cards that break or bend the color pie have been hot recently. This one goes up $385 to $9 this week. Fork on the reserve list, this is the copy from Revised. It goes up $402 to $32.50, and this has seen increased play in Calamax the Stormsire decks. Soldevi Excavations, this is another reserve list card drying up. It goes up $411 to $11. Volrath Shapeshifter on the reserve list, and I don't really think this sees a lot of Commander play right now, but it's always been one of my favorite cards. It goes up $425 this week to $7. Grim Feast sees a little Commander play on the reserve list. It goes up $432 this week to $14.99. Final Fortune, and this is many times found in those Godo Bandit Warlord decks, another Commander that was recently reprinted in Double Masters. Final Fortune Mirage, though, goes up $225 to $973, and the 7th edition copy goes up $437 to $14.92. Winds of Change, that Portal copy is really drying up. It goes up another $449 this week to $48.74. This has seen increased play, though, in Zera's The Writhing Storm. Zerzoth Chaos Rider also shows up in the Locust God decks, and that, of course, got reprinted recently in Commander 2020. Corpse Dance, this goes up 473 to 24.99 on the reserve list. Good reanimation spell for Commander and also for cubes. It is an instant, so it's good with things like Kozilek Butcher of Truth, for example. Bruce Taro Borish Herder, another one of these foil-only partner commanders. It goes up 487 to 19.99. But note that this one is an ally, and that actually does matter. Dream Halls, again, sees a little commander play, but it is on the reserve list, jumping up 551 to 39.44. Metalworker on the reserve list goes up 562 to 122.39. And this card actually does see a fair amount of commander play compared to the numbers of this that are out there. Sometimes you'll find this in builds like Urza Lord High Artificer, Kozilek the Great Distortion, or Joyra Weatherlight Captain. Feldegriff, this is a fairly popular commander on the reserve list, also has seen increased play recently in Kenrith the Return King builds. It goes up 623 to 1474. Replenish, another card you might find in those Sisei Weatherlight Captain decks with the Core Set 2021 Shrines. This is good in general, though, in enchantment-heavy builds. It is on the reserve list, and it goes up 748 this week to 95.97. Edgewalker. Okay, many times you'll find this one currently in Athreos God of Passage builds. That was recently reprinted in Mystery Boosters, as well as one of the Theros Stargazing Secret Layers in foil. But of course, that's not why this is going up 799 to 907 this week. The reason this is going up, obviously, is because of the party mechanic, and more importantly in this case, Cleric Tribal in the Orzhov colors of Zendikar Rising. A lot of people are going to want to build commander decks around some of these new clerics, and what's cool about this card is it makes them cheaper to play. Look at this, for example. Cleric of Life's Bond is actually free. Second Chance on the reserve list sees a little commander play. It's jumping up 824 this week to 1267. Season of the Witch, this one's on the reserve list. Now I feel like we're moving from panic buy territory more into the buyout territory. This goes up 1091 to 3425 this week. Sure, it sees a little commander play, but nothing major. Survival of the Fittest on the reserve list from Exodus. It did get a reprinting, though, as a Judge foil. It goes up $11.20 to $220. And this does see commander play in a variety of different builds. Goblin Wizard. Hey, it's a wizard, and it is on the reserve list. It goes up $12.70 to $61.69. You'll find this one in Krenko Mob Boss builds and other Goblin tribal decks in the format. And the last card in this section is Copy Artifact from Revised. It is on the reserve list. This is obviously a buyout. It goes up $38.75 to $97 this week. It is a fantastic card in a lot of different builds, including Urza Lord High Artificer. Time for the premium spotlight, and I looked around the market this week and I noticed there's still a lot of market manipulation, but not as much as I was seeing over the last couple weeks, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Again, I don't like to spend too much time on rare promos or foils because they can be easily manipulated, or even if they're not being manipulated, sometimes if you don't have enough sales, you don't get good data. But I try to find some premium cards every week that feel like they are moving naturally with the market. This week I got two. The first is Edgewalker, which we just talked about. The foil from Scourge is going up $42.19 to $54.25. And I teased this one earlier. This is the Judge foil Intuition. It's going up $67.59 to $386.94 this week. All right, a lot of cards. That does it for this week's Market Watch. Until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.